Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, let's do a 49ers mailbag video. We're going to answer as many questions as I can through the course of the next 10 to 15 minutes here. You guys submitted them using the hashtag 49ers in my previous video, and now we're going to jump right in to try to get as many questions here from you guys, starting with Roma Luna. Now, this was a question that was asked multiple times, so we just picked Roma to best answer it, I should say. She says, quote, would it be feasible to make a try for Odell Beckham if he becomes available? Jimmy would have a decent pair of targets in Sanders and Odell, especially in this must-win postseason. First off, it says especially in this must-win postseason. You guys do realize that you cannot make a trade for Odell Beckham Jr. this year. The trade deadline's passed. You have to wait for the new league year. I believe it's next March, right before the draft, right after the draft. Next year, essentially, the new league year, be able to make trades. So OBJ is not going anywhere until 2020 in the season, but once he's available, you technically could still make the trade for him. Now, I think Odell Beckham is going to be traded from Cleveland. He says he wants to stay. I think he is going to be traded, and I think you could technically get him for a pretty decent price. I don't think he would cost a first-round draft pick. I think OBJ is going to cost a second and a player, a second and a fifth. It's not going to be that much because I think a lot of teams won't want to have that kind of locker room and an unchemistry, I should say. You don't really want him in your locker room. So he is going to be available. Should the Niners make an offer or attempt to try and make a trade for him? Sure, I think it would be totally fine. But at the same time, do you want to bring in what is a guy who has not been able to fit well in either of the two locker rooms he's been in the Giants and also the Browns? That's the question that we have. And for me, I would do it for the right price, but I'm not begging to go get Emmanuel or Odell Beckham Jr. I think Sanders and Kittle and second-year Debo are going to be just good enough. Maybe add another wide receiver in the draft or a free agent wide receiver who's not as big of an ego or have as big of an ego as Odell Beckham Jr. Now, you sign him, $15 million a year until 2023. It's not overly expensive. It's not Julio Jones. It's still kind of medium money. I would do it for the right price, but I would not be clamoring and banging down the Niners' door to go ahead and get OBJ because I don't think he's a very good locker room fit with a locker room in San Francisco that is very, very good right now with all of the current players. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get a quick ad here. No worries. Scroll down. Answer this pinned comment. Should the 49ers trade for Odell Beckham Jr.? And if they did, what would you be willing to give up? Pinned comment down below. And then we'll get back to the rest of the questions. All right, let's go ahead and jump in the next one. Xavier's son, I think. I butcher names all the time. You think Emmanuel Sanders will resign what the 49ers do during the offseason? You think he will retire as a Niner? I don't know if he'll retire as a Niner. I mean, it's a long way to go. He's still pretty young in his career. I don't think he is going to re-sign. It's the final year of his deal. The question is going to be how much. You just heard Odell Beckham's costing $15 million a year. It's kind of on the cheap side. Julio Jones is costing about $19 to $20 million a year. So is Sanders going to cost you $15? Is it going to cost you $10? It costs you 12, 13. He's going to be expensive, and they've got other people you're going to need to sign. I think he will re-sign. I think he's going to be, kind of expensive, but look at kind of a 3-year deal for $12 to $15 million. Sounds about right. I think he's going to go ahead and re-sign. I don't know if he will retire as a Niner, though. Should the 49ers re-sign Emmanuel Sanders? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, we'll keep going here. Abraham asks, should we be worried about our defensive line? Seems like it hasn't been the same since the Green Bay game. That's because it hasn't. 49ers the past 3 weeks have only had 3 sacks. And one of those games was the Saints, and they had 0 sacks of Drew Brees. They're struggling right now to create sacks, something that was not a problem earlier on in the season. Now, why is that? Well, D Ford has been out. You just lost Ronald Blair, DJ Jones. I mean, there are a ton of injuries on that defensive front that was once 5, 6, 7 pass rushers deep. It's back down to 4 pass rushers deep. Armstead's obviously still there, and obviously Bosa's still there, but other than that, that's basically your 2 best pass rushers right now. One is still a rookie in Nick Bosa. D Ford will come back most likely in the postseason, so he's going to be returning, but this is why San Francisco put in a waiver claim for Terrell Suggs. Now, they were too far down on the waiver list. That's why he went to Kansas City. But they realized what you guys are realizing too. Defensive line's not been playing very, very well, and that's something to keep an eye on going forward, especially in the postseason, because you need pass rushers. Are they still a good D-line? Sure. They're not as elite as they were, and it's shown over the past 3 games because they've only had 3 sacks, basically 1 sack a game, as though it was 2 and then 1. Not very good overall. No, it is good. Betting on our 49ers with our friends at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code 49ers. That's the easiest way to bet your money on the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you use our promo code when you first sign up, get a 120% deposit bonus, so you get your money, plus Bet DSI's money, you bet you win even more money. So again, chatsports.com/bet, use the promo code 49ers. Charles Keller asks, how do you think our backs are going to do this game? Do you think Breida will get the start and Coleman to follow? Or do you think Raheem Mostert, will get the start because of how good he's been playing? This game means the Rams game on Saturday, and I would say it's probably going to be Mostert to start because it's been Mostert the past 3 weeks. We talked about this on my 49ers reports that it doesn't make sense because it's not like Breida and Coleman are injured. Now, they might have some lingering injuries. Who knows? They're just not getting touches. I mean, I think Coleman is barely getting anything. He had 6 carries this past game. It's like they're not even using him. Mostert's had the hot hand. They're riding with Mostert right now, which, again, is fine. He's playing well, but we know that Breida and Coleman are better backs, so I don't understand why they're getting more touches. For me, they have to be injured. Like, the injuries they sustained this year, the ankles, the lower body for Breida, it's probably just wear and tear, and they're not as healthy as we think. Now, they're healthy enough to play, but not healthy enough to be at the elite level that they were during the beginning of the year. So Mostert, I think, continues to get all the carries. I'm not thrilled about that. I think Breida needs to be your lead back in the postseason. Coleman needs to be the Coleman we saw getting 100-plus yards from scrimmage earlier on. But right now, the hot hand is Mostert. Whether that's because he's better or because they're injured, we'll have to go ahead and wait and see. Interesting question here. Let me see the answers down below. Who should be the lead back for the 49ers in the postseason? Breida, Coleman, Mostert? Let me know down below. All right, let's keep going here. Jason Lutz says, who are we endangered of losing this year to free agency? Oh, that's a good question. And are there any free agent potentials you could see going after? Any chance of a big splash trade for a true number 1 wide receiver? Okay, a lot of questions there. I want to get into, because we already talked about big splash trade for a true number 1 wide receiver, like an Odell Beckham. Sure, there's a potential. Here are the main. Again, there's a long list of unrestricted free agents and restricted free agents. Here are the big name unrestricted free agents that I looked up and that I pulled from the list who I think are very, very important to either re-sign or let go. Emmanuel Sanders, Kyle Juszczyk, Ward, Verrett, Selleck, Armstead, Ben Garland, and Ronald Blair. Those are kind of your big-name unrestricted guys who are going to be totally free to sign with anybody in the coming offseason. Now, I think for sure they're going to re-sign Sanders. I think for sure they're going to re-sign Juszczyk. And then I think for sure they're probably going to re-sign Eric Armstead. Everybody else is going to be up in the air. Now, the problem is, how much money do you essentially have to be able to spend on these guys? Right now, you have about $17 million, but that's all going to change once you start restructuring deals. They're probably going to restructure the Jimmy Garoppolo deal. You're probably going to restructure the Tevin Coleman deal, I think, and there were a couple others. They're going to restructure. They'll make some more money. Then they'll spend some money to lock up a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, who we think they're all going to for sure sign. They're going to bring back Juszczyk. So you're not going to be able to keep all these guys. Do you keep a Ronald Blair, who's injured this year? Do you keep a Ben Garland, who obviously is filling in right now on the offensive line? Selleck, probably not, but where do Verrett and Ward fit in? Ward especially playing as much as he has been doing. It's going to be a very interesting offseason because, as we know, when you become a good football team, it means you got to pay your good players, and means you lose a lot of good players as well. So from this list, Sanders, Juszczyk, and Armstead, I think, are all for sure. But at the same time, all of them could go elsewhere for more money. Eric Armstead's our leading sack leader, and a team might go, hey, we're going to give you more than the 49ers, and bye-bye Eric Armstead. So these are names to keep an eye on, but I'm very curious to see what happens this offseason. I know I didn't really answer the question overall. There will be plenty of other free agents, but you got to get your guys first, and it starts with people on this list. Matt Breida is a restricted free agent, so there's a lot of names they have to figure out going forward. Not going to keep all of them. Interesting to see what our Niners look like going forward in 2020. Okay, a couple more here. Not Mario says, do you think we will win against the Rams? Okay, great question. Yeah, it's going to be tough. The Rams are obviously playing for their playoff lives. They have to beat San Francisco on Saturday to even have a shot right now at the wild card. They need to win, and they basically need the Vikings to lose out to be able to kind of get in there right now at either 10-5 or 9-6, depending on what happens. But they basically can't lose. It's going to be tough. You remember all the way back in Week 6, we beat them 20-7. It's a different Rams team. Now, you say it's a different Rams team. 2 weeks ago, they had a massive win. Then last week, they got killed by the Cowboys at Jerry World. So I don't know what Rams team we are going to see. There's some rumors that Jared Goff might have a little bit of a hand injury, but he looks like he's going to be fine. I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think. Not the 20-7 game that a lot of people saw in Week 6 where the Niners were really, really playing well. They're still banged up. They're still trying to figure themselves out. And mentally, can you stay ready and focused on the game at hand and not look ahead to the Seattle game coming up next week? So I think we're going to win. It's going to be close, but I also think it's going to be one of those where the Rams are up against the wall, they're backed into a corner, they're going to be fighting down to the wire. Look for some trick plays by Sean McVay because, again, they lose, they're done. They have to win this game. Let's try and knock out the Rams here, hopefully on Saturday. Okay, before we move on, still got some great sale items that I believe will still be delivered by Christmas if you buy them today. Chatsports.com/49sale has a ton of authentic 49ers gear, hats, sweaters, hoodies, t-shirts. Chatsports.com/49sale. I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and check that out. All right. We'll do one more here. How about Killer Tarantula Vibrations, fun name, says, with some of our defense coming back and Seattle losing, Josh Gordon to PEDs, is it okay to feel better about our chances going forward in Seattle and pulling out a win, or is Russell Wilson one that needs or is Russell Wilson the only threat that needs to be stopped? Okay, so Russell Wilson obviously was the only offensive Pro Bowler on the Seattle Seahawks, so obviously he's the one you have to 100% go ahead and stop. And no Josh Gordon over the top is a blow to them, but not a huge blow. We forget, Tyler Lockett going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, and Chris Carson is going to be a 1,000-yard rusher. They have talent all around this squad. The defense is opportunistic, if you will. They still have a good front four. They have the best middle linebacker in football, and Bobby Wagner. They have some opportunistic guys, and they're not bad at the cornerback position as well. So sure, defense has got to show up. You got to be able to stop Russell Wilson, but at the same time, you can't let Chris Carson run all over you. You can't let Tyler Lockett catch 10 passes for 110 yards and run a kickback. So I feel good going into this game. It is going to be extremely difficult at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, but we have to get there first. I'm just too focused on the Rams right now to really worry about Seattle. I know they're coming up. I know that's what matters. Finish with the Rams, then get ready for Seattle. We'll talk more about them, obviously, in the coming weeks. Bonus question here. Emilio Ochoa, I'll give you this one because I liked it. Do you think Bosa is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year? Now, I've said for sure, right? 100% he is going to. And I'm still leaning that way, but I think it comes down to more like 90%. Here's something that blew my mind. I looked this up. I had no idea. I don't know if you guys knew this. Josh Allen, the outside linebacker pass rusher out of Kentucky who was taken by the Jacksonville Jaguars, has 10 sacks this year. Nick Bosa only has 9. Bosa is getting all the national attention because his last name was Bosa, and he's playing for the winning team in the 49ers. Josh Allen has gotten no credit for having 10 sacks. He's playing very, very well. If you just go off of stats, Josh Allen's really having a better year. 28 tackles, 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. I think it'll go Bosa, Allen, and then Devin Bush, the linebacker. Those 3 in that order. But don't be surprised if Josh Allen appears out of nowhere because in reality, he's playing for a worse team, but he's having a better year if we're talking about overall sacks. Now, Nick Bosa obviously is fantastic. He's well-deserving of Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to win it based on popularity and based on the fact the Niners are winning right now. But just don't be surprised if Josh Allen ends up winning this. I'll say that right now, so you can quote me. Finally, will Nick Bosa win Defensive Rookie of the Year with what you just heard? Let me know in the comment section down below. There you go. Again, we've grown so fast here, the Chat Sports Only 49ers channel. Subscribe if you guys have not already subscribed. I really greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get to 15,000. But we had like 50 comments that were asking questions. So I couldn't get through all of them, but I tried to get through the ones that were either repeat questions like OBJ and free agents and running backs. And so hopefully I was able to do a good job there. But I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Stay tuned, subscribe. We'll be grading the 49ers' hopeful win after the Saturday game against the Los Angeles Rams, which obviously we'll cover here in detail, the Chat Sports Only 49ers YouTube channel. Chat Sports, Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.